My boys, what's going on? You guys are gonna be pretty pumped with this video because we're gonna get that ball rolling again with the Mini. So if you guys aren't familiar with the channel, the Mini's kind of been on halt for a little bit. Some has been for my reasons, some other reasons are actually out of my control. However, the Mini's engine is going to need to be rebuilt. I pretty much showed you guys the entire teardown of the motor and I showed you what went wrong with my engine. Now, luckily, there's not anything that was actually a catastrophic failure. There's no severe engine problems. So because I went ahead and poured and polished the cylinder head with the cylinder head removed, I figured I might as well go ahead and rebuild the complete bottom end of it and do some other supporting mods so that the Mini is gonna be basically bulletproof. I know that I wanted to build this Mini motor and I know that I wanted to put money into it so that it would be fast and amazing, but I wasn't exactly sure when I was gonna actually do that. I thought last year, you know, maybe I'll just do a couple bolt-ons, enjoy it, and then when it breaks, go nuts, but I wasn't expecting it to break that soon. I've put less than 1,000 kilometers on this vehicle since I purchased it. So that's gonna change and I wanna change that soon. So right here you see a bunch of car parts. And I'm gonna go over every single one of the car parts that I bought so I could fix my Mini engine along with all the supporting mods for it. So as you guys know, with basically any kind of modification, if you think you can just throw one part on the car and you're done and over with, you're laughing. You're very naive. Because if you try and do a full build, or if you try and change any kind of performance aspect of your vehicle, I guarantee you there's going to be other parts of the vehicle that need to be modified so it can withstand the extra power. So that's kind of what I'm doing, and in all of these boxes, this is pretty much the goodies. This is the meat and the potatoes of the build. The stuff that you see on the outside of the car is one thing, however, the stuff that you don't see is the most important part of it, and I wanna make sure that I get all of that done right. I don't wanna spend all this money into a car just to slap it together as fast as I can so that it's going to break. I wanna take my time, make sure it's done right, and then once it's done, it's going to be incredible. So all of that is very important, but I'm gonna address that in a second. I wanna talk about something else that is incredibly important for my job, and so that you guys can be a part of all of this. Do you guys know what this is here? This is an LCD touchscreen for a camera, and this is actually one for the camera that you guys are seeing right now. I actually don't have a screen because it accidentally dropped on me. If you guys are following me on Instagram, I posted up a picture of my camera when I broke it. When I was detailing the Mini, I pulled the hose and it pulled one of the legs in for the tripod, and my camera that, let's say, was up here, got one of the legs kicked in and it dropped to the floor. Now, luckily the camera still records, but I can't exactly see what I'm doing. So I'm kind of ballparking it and I hope the shot is not half bad. But once I put this new screen in, hopefully I'll be able to see what I'm doing. So this thing ran me 250 bucks for just the screen replacement. For some reason when I bought the camera, I didn't opt for the warranty. Usually I'm pretty good with my stuff. Whenever I have a warranty and I buy it, I never end up using it. But of course, when I don't buy the warranty, I need it. So this camera that you guys are seeing right now is less than a year old. It broke on me, and this accidental would have been covered in that policy. It was an $80 extra that for some reason I didn't buy, and I'm kicking myself in the ass for it because this part alone cost me more than what? 3 times that. So I need to take my camera apart, put this in. Hopefully that works. Otherwise I might have to send my camera out so I can actually get a proper camera shot. However, that is what I'm gonna be doing tomorrow. Hopefully I can have a video for you guys on Monday once I fix this. So I'm gonna put this aside and I'm gonna show you what's inside all these boxes. The boxes that you guys see here are very important for this build. So in order to actually make the large numbers, the big power, the big kind of horsepower that we're really looking for is from this box here. So I have a replacement turbocharger that's much bigger than the stock one. However, everything that I need for the bottom end and for the top end of the motor is all in this box. Other than the head gasket, but that's over there. I'll actually bring that out in a second. What I'm gonna do here is set all these aside. I'm gonna put a mat down so you guys can actually see everything that I have, and I'm gonna lay everything out so you can see exactly what I bought. So let's start off with box number 1. This box here is from Supertech. So Supertech is basically a company that makes a whole bunch of replacement parts for the internals. So this here is a box with all of the valve springs and the retainers for the valves for my Mini motor. So because my Mini Cooper is a 4-cylinder, I'm going to have 4 different springs for each one of the combustion chambers. So I've got 2 for the intakes, 2 for the exhaust, and I've also got all the retainers for them. So I'm gonna keep all those here. I'll put those inside that box. And there's that. So this box, I gotta say, was quite expensive. This is the most expensive box that I bought for my engine. So for the Mini build, this is the most expensive thing I purchased. This is, let's see in here, these are all the valves. So this is, oh actually it's pretty sweet, they're all oiled. So these are the exhaust valves. These are slightly larger. Everything that you guys see inside this video is going to be an upgrade over the stock stuff. So those are the exhaust valves. These here are the intake valves. Oh no, other way around, I lied. Those are intake, these are exhaust. These are slightly smaller than the intakes. However, these are technically an upgrade versus the stock parts. This is the first time me opening all this stuff. So you guys are seeing all this stuff for the first time, just like me. And here we have all the retainers for the valves. So these here attach to each one of the valves, and they are kept inside of the valve spring and the keeper. So two of these pieces go in each one of those. This here is the connecting rods, I'm guessing. Yep, so these are the con rods. We've got some grease in there. So this here is a forged connecting rod. I'll compare this to the cast one, and you guys can see for yourself there's going to be a huge difference in quality and also strength with both of these kinds of setups. What else do we have? Another one of those skinny boxes. So I've got valve seals. These are two of them. Yep. 2 packs. These here are what keep everything that's inside the cylinder head out from inside the combustion chamber. So because the valves on the bottom are exposed to the combustion chamber and the top are exposed to oil, these here need to keep all of that oil away from the bottom end. So that's what those are there for. And this here should be the big one. This is the important part. So we've got our connecting rods. So these here are going to be all of our piston rings. There's going to be 3 of them per. I'm going to leave these here. And inside of here, I should have the lower compression pistons, forged pistons for the engine. So these here are going to be a lower compression ratio for the engine that we have for our Mini. So because I have a bigger turbo for it and I want to make bigger power, what I actually have to get is a lower compression piston, so more air and more fuel can get pushed inside that combustion chamber so I can make more power. You can see all the technical information here, the installation guide. We've got the wrist pins inside each one of these. There you go, the wrist pins. Now I'm going to balance and do all this stuff. I'm going to make it so that each one of these are the exact same weight. Oh shit, they are. That's pretty good. It shows the weight and the size of each one of these pistons. So that's actually really sweet. There's not going to really be any kind of modifications needed. I'm going to put each of these on a scale to actually measure if there's any weight difference. But from the looks of it, everything looks to be really nice. One more thing that I'm missing from Supertech is going to be the valve guides. When I contacted them to send me out all this stuff, they didn't go ahead and send me it because they were out of stock. So I asked them to send me all this stuff, any of the stuff that they could beforehand, and then they would send out the replacement stuff, the other stuff. But that is actually going to be coming for a future video. I'm going to get a hold of them to see if I can get those parts too, because I'm going to need those for this build. So next up comes box number 2. Box number 2 is from Clutchmasters. So once I make a ton of horsepower, and once I get the engine making, let's say 300, 350, however much horsepower, I need to make it so that that power can get to the transmission without the clutch slipping. So that's what I have here in this box. So this here is super important. So once I make the power, it's important that we can actually control it and it's not just going to be slipping the clutch. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Clutchmasters. Okay, so that's that. They gave me a whole bunch of stickers too. That's pretty sweet. So let's see what's inside the box. So we've got our guide tool for the clutch. We have our new throwout bearing. And we have a new flywheel and clutch. We've got the clutch assembly, we've got the pressure plate, we have everything in here. We've got the required bolts. And that's basically everything right there. So this setup here should withstand easily 400 horsepower, which is more than what I need for this mini motor. I don't really plan on going more than 4 because at that point, it's gonna make it so that my front wheel drive car is undrivable. I don't need that much power. So I figured you do need a clutch that is a little bit more overkill for your engine. However, you don't need to be that crazy. They said that this setup will be able to control and withstand all that extra power without making the car completely undrivable. Now, I did not go with a 6-puck clutch, only because at that point, it's going to be making the car basically an on and off switch. It's going to make it so that the clutch is either go or no. So what I have here is just a regular lined clutch, and this has basically everything that I need. I've got a lightweight flywheel, so the engine will be able to rev faster, it's going to be able to rev easier, And then at that point, the clutch, the flywheel, the pressure plate, everything is going to be able to control that power that we're making and be able to push it to the wheels. So that's basically it for box number 2. Let's move to box number 3. Now with that same kind of idea, what we need to do is make the power, we need to be able to put it to the ground, but before it actually goes from the engine to the wheels, it needs to be able to go through the flywheel, the pressure plate, and the clutch, and that power can then be translated into the transmission. So once the power is in the transmission, we need to make it so that the power can be split so it's powering both front wheels. So we can power the driver's side and the passenger side at the same time. Now, technically, the differential that I have inside my transmission is an open differential, and that isn't exactly ideal, especially when you're making big power. There is what's called an electronic differential, where the brakes and the transmission and the wheel speed sensor will all take information, and it'll try and pulse the brakes and modulate it, so it'll act like you have an LSD when you don't. However, I'm going to be opening up my transmission and replacing the pumpkin with this one here. So this is a replacement differential for my Mini. And what's cool about the Wavetrac setup is that I don't ever have to service this thing. Once you buy it, you put it in your diff, in your transmission, that's basically it. There's nothing else that needs to be done to it. So this is a one-piece unit. It's a direct swap and replacement for the differential that you have in your car. It comes with ARP bolts, so you know it's good stuff. It's torqued to spec and it's marked. Now what you do need to do is you need to install your final drive gear onto the differential on this end. You do need to replace the bearings and do all that other stuff, but that all is going to be for another video once I take apart the transmission. As for this though, this can split the power from left to right as it needs. It's a completely lifetime unit. You don't need to service this thing at all, and that is what I really loved about this. That's why I pulled trigger on this unit. So that right there is pretty much everything that's inside box number 3. That's from Wavetrac. There's more information right here regarding the gear oil that's required for your transmission. So because you're replacing the differential in there with a different one, it tells you exactly what you need and some information along with the warranty stuff. So with box number 3 done, it's time to move to box number 4. So this last box that I have here, I think is the most important one, because this here is what I need to rebuild the engine and so that I can put all the stuff inside of there. So I'm gonna close this up quickly. But I was in contact with ECS Tuning, which is basically one of the biggest German vehicle replacement part websites. What I picked up from them is a whole box of car parts. It doesn't matter if you need just regular replacement parts or if you want to upgrade stuff in your vehicle. ECS Tuning has a bunch of stuff that you guys can install on your car and throw in there. It doesn't matter if you're keeping it stock and just replacing something or you're looking to build it. They've got stuff for you. So I've actually purchased stuff from their website before. I replaced a whole bunch of cooling stuff on the Mini. I replaced a whole bunch of suspension stuff. And I'm going to be replacing a whole bunch of engine stuff and tranny stuff from their website. So I picked up all this stuff from there, and you guys can see how long of a list this is. That's all the extra stuff that I bought. So even though this is basically the big stuff, you still need the small stuff like, well, I don't even know what the hell that is. But yeah, you need basically an extra box of bolts, nuts, bearings, and a whole bunch of other things to get the engine working. So first things first, we got our ECS banner, a little sticker. I'll probably throw that on the top front windshield of the Mini. We've got in here, what do we have? So these here are for the fuel injectors. They're new parts, new components, new seals. I'm guessing there's 4 of them. Yeah, I see 4. So there is number 1. So because we took out the fuel injectors, we need to replace the seals on them. So they've got all new Bosch products. 1, 2, 3, 4. In this box, we've got a new Vanos Actuator. So this here is what controls basically the VTEC, or the variable valve timing that's found in the Mini motor. When this oil screen gets filled up and gets disgusting over time through all the oil changes, it's very important to clean that out or replace it while you're doing this process. So because I've got the engine apart, I don't want to chance it by just cleaning it, so that's why I have a new piece right there. Got a license plate frame, set that aside with a sticker. We've got new bearings for the crankshaft, so because we have the crankshaft and the bottom end completely apart, we need to replace all of those with new ones. So that's all going to happen at the machine shop, but they're going to take care of that. They're going to reinstall everything and do everything as they will. I'm not going to be chancing any of this stuff. I'm going to get it done properly, and I don't want to have a screw up when I spend all this money on the Mini. Another ECS sticker. Here is a very expensive bag. So this here is basically all of the seals, all the gaskets, everything that I need to get the engine working again. So even though this bag is relatively small, It's quite expensive. Don't underestimate how much seals, bolts, and all that other stuff are. It can be quite expensive, especially when you're replacing everything in the engine bay. So like, look at this. Look at all these parts. I'm gonna move this out of the way. Look at how many there are. So think about all this stuff. Look at how many things you need to fix it. So like one of these. Oh, never mind. See, you don't need one. You need 4 of these. Like, once you buy all of this stuff, it can be kind of overwhelming. However, you do need all of this to get the engine working again. So I'm actually gonna put, well, let's just do that. There, in the bag. Next box. What do we have in here? So we've got a new cover right here for the fuel pump. I'm gonna be replacing the fuel pump and the filter when time comes to it. Mini motor's gotta be taken care of, and that has to be addressed first, but that's for the fuel system. Oh yeah, extra bag with nothing in it. Pay lots of money for that. In here we have another box. Is the entire timing chain kit. So it's got all the replacement guides that I need, it's got the replacement tensioner, and it has all the important stuff to get it so the timing part is fixed. Now, my mini motor is an N14, and these components here are fail problems, common fail problems that our cars have. So this one here is a big one, along with these guides. So they've got a kit on there for you. If you're not looking to fully build your mini motor, no problem. They've got stuff just to replace broken components on the car. So we've got that. Inside this box, we've got more car parts. Surprise, surprise. In here, right here, we have a replacement gasket for the exhaust manifold. You can see that we've got the heat shield built into it, along with the bolts for the other heat shield that goes on top. So we can set that aside. We don't need that right now, but when time comes to it, we have the part. This guy here is for the valve cover. So it's in this thing right now. You can see that we've got each one of the gaskets for each one of the spark plug holes. This gasket that you see on the outside, the really big one, is for the valve cover. We have a replacement oil pan gasket. So that goes underneath the car. It connects the oil pan on the bottom side and the engine block on this side. We have new bolts. So this is an ARP bolt set along with this one here. So one of them is for the cylinder head bolts. The other one is going to be for the main bolt. These here are not stretch bolts. The bolts that you see right here are bolts that we can apply torque to, apply pressure to it, take it off, and technically, because these are not torque to yield bolts, we can reuse them again. So that's what's really nice about this kind of setup versus the standard bolts that you have on your car. Most bolts, like the cylinder head bolts and the main bolts, are all torque to yield. So once you use them once, and once you put torque on them, they're done. You can't ever use them again. So that's why I bought these guys here. They're a little bit more money, but if you do plan on doing any kind of work like this, I think they're well worth it. In here we have another box. Surprise, surprise. What's in this one? Any guesses? We have in here the arm for the tensioner for the serpentine belt. It's a replacement one. Looks really nice. New bearing on this side. Whole unit's really easy. It's a direct bolt on. 1 bolt, 2 bolts, you're done. And then finally, we have our last box. The last one in there. This one, this is for the fuel system, I think. To be honest, I don't know what part that's for. I'll go through the entire parts list and actually figure out what the hell this stuff is for. Oh yeah, this is for the fuel pump, or the fuel filter. So this goes in the back of the car. So I'm gonna need that, and actually I think I need a fuel filter. I don't think I opened that up. So there you go, there's more stuff I need to buy. But it just goes to show how much crap you need to fully build your engine. If you're just replacing stuff like replacing a broken piston or some other stuff like that, it's relatively easy and somewhat cheap. When you're replacing literally everything on your car, everything on the internals, it gets to be quite expensive. So in this coming week, I'm going to be working on the Mini some more. I'm going to try and get this thing up and running. I want to see if I can get all of this stuff sent out so I can at least get the engine built. I still have a lot of other stuff that I can do here at home, even if the engine is out. If the engine is out getting machined and built, I can still work on lots of stuff on this thing to get it up and running. But as for the build, like, it takes a lot of money and a lot of effort and a lot of research for the proper parts and the proper everything so that you can get this done right. Now, I spent easily days at a time just researching products, looking up in the forums to try and find the best product for my Mini, given what I want to do. So because I want to go a big turbo setup, I want to go low compression. But because I'm going bigger power, I need a whole bunch of other supporting mods to get this done. So like the clutch setup, the differential. If you're going to be looking to go with more power, those are pretty much musts. So, I mean, it entirely depends on what you guys want to do. I'm going with a 47mm turbo, which is going to be good for around 400 to 500 horse, which at that point is overkill. I don't need to go that much power, and I don't want to be making that much power. However, if I'm going to make the engines, internals, and everything completely bulletproof, I can have it so that it's rated at that point and then just drive it around 350 or 300 horse and be happy with. So that's my setup, that's my game plan with the Mini. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that's how everything goes. But regardless, next week I'm gonna be working on this thing some more. So stay tuned. If you wanna see more stuff for the Mini, it's coming finally. I have a lot less other projects and a lot less other stuff going on. So stay tuned. Mini's gonna be getting work done. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions regarding the video, throw it down in the comment section below. If you guys have any questions regarding any of that stuff, there's gonna be information in the description box. Read that stuff first, then comment, then do all that other stuff. But if not, if your question isn't answered, comment section's down below. Throw me your comments and all that other stuff. I read all that stuff, all your comments, all your questions, everything, so throw it down there. I'll be happy to read all that stuff. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.